What's up, Browns fans? Welcome to a special post-game live edition of the Dogs podcast. This might be the first time we've ever done this after a win.
It is.
So, whenever we talked about going live directly after the game this week, I was actually super nervous because it hasn't been good to us as a fan base and as a podcast to come on right after games. But Browns hung on, recovered the onside kick at the end, won what might go down as the longest football game of all time.
Regulation.
Uh, it just seemed like it was never going to end, but pulled it out. Huge win for the Browns in terms of playoff implications because a lot of teams that we were tied with or that they were chasing us lost today. The Texans, the Colts. Just a huge win for the Browns. And it's one of those things where it's like we do whatever it freaking takes. Like there's no other better way to say it. Kevin Stefanski says it all the time in his post game locker room speeches. Is we just do whatever it takes. We're gonna get into everything about the game. A lot of the stuff, who we lost this game because injuries kept piling up, the highs, the lows. It was one of those games where we kept winning and I kept feeling like we were losing. And I just had to keep reminding myself that this is just the way Browns games are going to be this year with all the injuries that we have. But while we let this chat fill up, before we get into everything, if you want to get your voicemails and your intros on the show, head to thedogspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail on the drop down menu. We love hearing from you guys, especially when we do these episodes on Victory Mondays. We love getting your guys' thoughts on the show. We love getting your guys' intros. If you are watching right now on YouTube and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Make sure you tap the notification bell so you never miss an episode. If you haven't followed us on the socials yet, you can find us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I have no idea if you guys can still hear me or see me
We can
because
hear
my
you.
screen, okay, my computer screen just went completely black. So I was just talking to myself and hoping you guys can hear me. I'm having some technical difficulties here today. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm just not here. Hey, I'm back.
You're back.
I need a tech guy to come work in my house apparently. Um, if you guys haven't heard, I need a new computer. But if you haven't found us on the socials, head to the dog. You can find us on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. We're on all of them. If you prefer to just listen to the show, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, and Google. And lastly, if you're looking for more Dogs content, head to jointhedogs.com, become an official Dog Pack member on the Patreon page. You get access to the private Discord. You get an extra episode every week. You get to play fantasy football with us. And again, I have no idea if this is working
You
because
kind
my
of
computer.
froze there for everybody.
Could you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can still hear. If you ever cut off the audio, well, I don't know how we're going to communicate that to you if you can't hear us. But well,
Well,
you
I
know
got the
what?
live pulled up on my phone on YouTube, so just like start waving your arms frantically, and I guess I'll stop talking to myself. Um, so I have no idea what's going on with my video. I'll try to figure it out as we're going along here. But as long as you guys can hear me, maybe John can be the face of the podcast today. He's better looking, anyways. I'm just fat guy, black cheeks.
Oh,
Uh,
Blake, you're too hard on yourself. I
yeah.
think you're a beautiful man.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. So big win for the Browns today. And it was one of those things where it just we kept losing players, and it felt like every time we were about to make a run and put some distance between ourselves and Jacksonville, we did something stupid. And it was like, man, can we make them earn the win instead of us just giving them the win? And we couldn't. We did whatever we could to make sure it was going to be interesting till the final whistle. But just what a resilient group to lose Grant Delpit. Miles Garrett's playing with one arm. He gets a sack at the end. Zadarius Smith goes down for a little bit. I mean, I've never seen a team with this many injuries. To put this in perspective, the Browns are. I'm not sure if we're the first team ever, or if we're the first team in a very, very long time to start four different quarterbacks in a season and win a game with all four different quarterbacks.
Mm.
It's unbelievable.
That's a really good point. I'd love to know if that's ever been done because it's crazy. We've been talking about it all year. Yes, these Browns games are frustrating. They are just mind-boggling at times. You're sitting there and it's like, hey, we got a chance here after an interception early in the game to maybe go down and go up 17, maybe even 21 to nothing, and then we turn ball over. And it just, that kind of stuff just keeps happening. And, and it's primarily offense, and of course we've got to preface it by saying, yes, we know that over half of the offensive starters essentially are backups. I mean, we're not healthy by any stretch of the imagination on offense. And I don't know, the mistakes, the penalties, the turnovers, like you said, Blake, we got to expect it at this point and just hope that they continue to do whatever it freaking takes.
Yeah. You have to realize, sorry, we're just probably not going to get a clean game out of the offense the rest of the year. There's just too many people hurt. If you go look at like some of the bigger mistakes out of the offense today, Amari Cooper is the only guy who's like a day one starter for this team to have a mistake. Joe Flacco was on the couch 3 weeks ago. Christian had two penalties in one drive that killed us. He's a practice squad guy we signed a few weeks ago. Hudson is so bad.
He is terrible.
He's a fifth string tackle. You know what I mean? And those are the guys making the mistakes. It's Amari Cooper is like the rare occurrence where a guy that you depend on, that we thought going into this season that we were going to depend on a weekly basis. He was one of the first guys in a long time to be a guy that made a mistake like that. If you go back and look at all of our turnovers and stuff like that, and I would say in the last month or two, they've almost primarily been from guys who shouldn't even be on the field for the Browns. Honestly, shouldn't even be on the field for anybody in the NFL. Hudson got that false start late when we tried to quarterback sneak it, and they showed the replay. This dude jumps a second early and fires out to hit somebody. He didn't even touch anybody. So then not only does he false start, he completely whiffs on all blocks, hits absolutely nobody. How do you do that on a quarterback sneak? There's 11 guys within the tackle box, and he somehow manages to not hit any of them
and still get a penalty.
Yes, it was rough, but a win is a win. And a comment that I want to highlight right here, I'm seeing in the chat. This is really just about great coaching. I couldn't have said it better myself in all three phases. Please give Stefanski credit, people. I got on Twitter, and it's, why are we throwing the ball so much? What is he doing? Well, have you seen our run game? We don't have one anymore. It is atrocious. At one point, Ford had 10 carries for 45 yards, averaging 4.5 yards a carry. You're thinking, oh, that's great, until you realize one of them was for 26.
Right.
So on his other 9 carries, he had 19 yards. And I'm like, well, you're not going to sustain a run game with 1.9 yards per carry. Kareem Hunt is amazing in short yards. If we need a yard, Kareem Hunt gets a yard every time. But if you're asking him to do essentially anything else, it's a wash.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. It's real quick, just throw the number at you. 2.3 was Jerome Ford's yards per carry today. If you take out his 126-yard run, that's not efficient.
Yeah, it's rough. We don't have a run game. The only thing working right now is the pass. Yeah. And it made me nervous because as they're going down and making it a one-score game, I also want to say, well, let's just run the ball. But the defense had started getting so many people banged up. I'm like, well, we can't just go 3 and out every time and keep putting this defense on the field. You know what I mean? This isn't our week 4 defense against the Niners. We got Ronnie Hickman out there. We love D'Anthony Bell, but he's not supposed to be playing meaningful snaps on defense. I think it was Hurt. Did Mo Hurst get hurt at one point today? Darius Smith goes out. This isn't the same defense that's just been going out and shutting people down. Like, luckily, the secondary played out of their minds today. I still didn't think we got great pressure on Lawrence. So we have to. You can't just shut down the playbook because you get a 1 touchdown lead in the NFL. Like, you're going to lose more often than not. You can't. So you have to count on what you have out there, and it sucks that what you have out there is a bunch of backups. But that's what you got. And you got to somehow make it work. And guess what? We made it work.
Yep.
Yes, we did. I mean, talking about the offense and everything, it sucked when Ethan Posick went out. Like in first quarter, right? It was early, super early, when he went out of the game. And now you got backup center, you've got 2 backup / practice squad, essentially tackles. And it's like, man, are you kidding me? Like, we're already starting out behind the 8 ball offensively, and then we lose the center basically to kick off the game. So that was rough. And, when Flacco, just to kind of touch on his turnover, his interception, I don't know. I guess that was incidental contact or whatever, where Tillman was running a slant and the defender ran right into him. And so obviously after Joe Flacco let the ball go, there was no receiver there because he got jacked on his route.
I don't understand how that wasn't any pass interference or anything.
Usually that gets called, I think.
That was unbelievable. I just got notification the Browns have officially announced Joe Flacco as the starter for the rest of the year.
Okay.
Obviously.
No shit.
You know what I mean? Obviously.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Justin's coming to us live in the chat from the tailgate, so it's probably pretty rowdy up there. He says the audio is not podcast appropriate, but he's in the chat. Just speaking on this win for the Browns in terms of going forward, Texans lose today, Colts lose today, Steelers lost on Thursday night. Like this went from a game where I just thought hopefully we can win, steal this game, but my biggest focus was on the Bears, the Bengals, and the Jets. Okay, but now once Pittsburgh lost, and this became a huge game for playoff implications for the Browns, and you managed to steal it at home despite all the injuries. So huge game for the Browns. Like somebody on here said, there's still people talking crap on Stefanski and saying bring in an OC. That play to David Bell for the touchdown on 4th and 3. First of all, that's a ballsy call to go for it right there.
Yes.
And that's what people just look at that, and if it fails, they bash him. But when it's successful, they don't go, man, that was a ballsy call. He knows if this doesn't work, we potentially lose. The fan base is irate. Like that took guts. Well, guess what? I like that my head coach has guts. You know what I mean? He doesn't play scared. He goes out there and tries to win the football game. And he designed the play was perfect. Bell could have crawled in.
Yeah, he could have. That was 2 wide open touchdowns. And think about last week and this week on the opening drive. Like Kevin Stefanski puts together a very nice opening drive script because you think about last week, Jerome Ford wide open for that. Well, he fell into the end zone because he was off balance, but wide open for a touchdown. And then today, David Njoku on the opening drive, just wide open for a touchdown. I mean, the calls that I think that, yeah, Kevin does not get the credit that he is due as the play caller and head coach of this team.
Somebody said extend him before he gets home tonight. And I was like, that's what I was saying. I was like, extend him when he gets in. Like, I'd have his contract extension waiting in his office on his desk. And yeah. Just walk in and sign it real quick. The fact that we are now 8-5, we have a 1-game lead on all the wild card teams in the AFC right now. And we just won a game with our 4th quarterback, a guy that everybody said was completely washed. Everybody said there's a reason nobody's picked up Joe Flacco. He's terrible. There's the reason the Jets didn't bring him back. He was terrible last year. And he just threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Okay. He looked pretty good against the Rams last week. PJ Walker went 2-1 on this team. DTR won a football game against the Steelers with this team. Like, at what point, who's the common denominator here? It's Kevin Stefanski and his offense. I'm not saying it's the most perfect offense ever. I would love to have some more pre-snap motion, so a little bit more creativity at times. I wouldn't even hate if he brought in somebody to like spruce up the offense on, but let's not pretend like the guy doesn't know offensive football and then he just isn't a good head coach. It's that argument has got to be so far gone. I mean, if you're still spewing that at this point, you just like to hear yourself talk. You're just an idiot, to be honest.
Yeah. What Joe Flacco has been able to do in this offense is impressive on a whole bunch of different levels. I mean, one, out of the league all year till just a couple weeks ago, comes off his couch playing backyard football with his kids. They keep talking about that stuff on the broadcast. And here he is, he just walks into this offense, and that's, 256 yards or something last week. And then he comes this week and throws for over 300. I mean, there's a lot of, like, the top quarterbacks in the league that hardly ever get a 300-yard game, and Joe Flacco waltzes into this one and just there it is. And I think that's a testament to him and his training level and his experience as a veteran quarterback and all that, and it's a testament to Kevin Stefanski on getting these guys ready to go and being able to run an offense that highlights Joe Flacco's arm and his passing prowess, because we don't throw a whole lot of yards this season. I mean, when Deshaun Watson's not in the game, you're not getting a lot of passing output from PJ. You're not getting any passing output from DTR. This is like a whole new element to our offense that we didn't have before.
Yeah, and it can be tough to do well in the passing game when the defense knows you can't run.
Yeah.
Our offensive line is so banked up, and our running game is lost without Chubb. So, I mean, the fact that he threw for 300 yards to me is incredibly noteworthy, and it speaks to his abilities that he's still got, and as well as, like you said, Kevin's play calling. I agree. Like, I don't really understand the hate at this point. I mean, we're 8-5 is solid for a team with their starting quarterback healthy.
There's a team in Kansas City where if they lose today, they will be 8-5.
Yeah.
And they have Hall of Famers on their team.
No one wants their coach to be fired.
Right.
So winning football games in the NFL is very hard, even if you're 100% healthy and you get all the breaks. Okay. It's hard. So to come out and win with 4 different starting quarterbacks, 4 or 5 different starting tackles on offense, rookie safeties, practice squad safeties, special teams safeties, backup running backs, should be retired quarterbacks. Like, you should appreciate what your Cleveland Browns are doing. It's incredible. I've never seen a team have this many injuries and still be relevant. Like, we've talked about this. There's a lot of teams where if they have an injury to a player, especially at the quarterback position, they fall off. The Niners couldn't win a game without Deebo Samuel, a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Okay. The Chiefs, if the Chiefs lose Travis Kelce, they lost to who was it they played in week 1?
The Lions.
The Lions.
Yeah.
Okay. They looked awful. So, and that's not even their quarterbacks. Imagine what the Chiefs would look like without Patrick Mahomes. Imagine what the Jets would look like without Aaron Rodgers. We don't have to imagine. It's literally happening. They lost. They were Super Bowl darling picks. They had hard knocks about them. Everybody loved them. And they lost one player and completely fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
So just crazy by the Browns, the amount of adversity they've overcome. I pulled up our schedule going forward a little bit. It seems like the Browns can't ever catch a break in terms of like who they're going to play. We're supposed to play a 4th place schedule this year, and I'm pretty sure Jacksonville was now the 11th team we've played that was 500 or better. So, and this is supposed to be a 4th place schedule. So the fact that we're 8-5 against that schedule is also insane. But you got the Bears who came out and beat the crap out of the Lions. And we've been marking this one up as a win for months. And then Justin Fields comes back from his injury and all of a sudden he looks way better and they come out and beat the Lions. And our defense is starting to get banged up. So it's like, well, now, like, are we going to be able to contend with a running Justin Fields who's playing well? And then you got C.J. Stroud. Like, this was at the beginning of the season, you're looking at, this is going to be a win. Nope, Texans are in the playoff race. C.J. Stroud is definitely going to be Rookie of the Year in MVP discussions. Jets tell Zach Wilson they're going to trade him so he doesn't have anything to lose. So he just comes out and throws for a bunch of touchdowns today because he doesn't care anymore. It's like – and then the Bengals, who I figured would be completely irrelevant and have nothing to play for, all of a sudden Jake Browning looks like the second coming of Joe Burrow, and their offense is still explosive. So it's like, man, a couple of those games I was really counting on don't look, especially with as banged up as we are, they don't look like as winnable going forward. Like, it's every game is going to be like this going forward, in my opinion. Yep. It's going to be ugly. We're going to be on edge. We're going to be questioning things. We're going to be wondering what's going on. And then hopefully we can pull it out in the end, because just with the amount of injuries we have, some of the teams we got coming up, like the Jets with our offense, we might have to try to beat the Jets 3-0 because they got a great defense. And we struggle at times against not great defenses. So it's strap on for the your helmets for the rest of the season. It's gonna be a crazy finish to the season.
Yes, it is. So I wanted to highlight real quick Andrew Jackson, one of our oldest supporters, longest supporters from the Patreon said our offensive line is like wet paper. Are we still on the ledge? Well, that's a dig at me because these games drive me nuts. I am just teetering on. I tell them I'm on the ledge every single week with this team because me and John were talking before you got on, Blake. He said, if our offense just cannot turn the ball over, like this is a blowout win. I said, but I always expect our offense to turn the ball over. And yet I still get really upset when they do. It's just one of those things. But, they are able to overcome. I did want to say one thing about the defense. You were kind of listing all the backup guys that were coming in. Cam Mitchell went out again today. And as soon as Mike Ford came in, Mike Ford's a liability. He is not very good in
He
the
played great
secondary.
that Steelers game and has been terrible since.
Yeah, right. Yep. So,
Comment here says the book is still out on Stefanski. His play calls on crucial downs are questionable. He got lucky today. No, that is ignorant.
So if the play doesn't work, is he just unlucky? I don't understand why if it works, he's lucky, but if it doesn't work, he sucks.
Yeah. You want to, give all the blame when it doesn't work out, no credit when it does work out. But if you look at, across the NFL throughout history, isn't every single coach's play calling questionable? Every single coach ever?
Yes.
You can always question it.
Yeah, exactly.
When they win, they're amazing, and when they lose, it's what are they doing? It's it's the nature of the beast. And there's been no good crucial calls. We're 8-5. He hasn't had to call any crucial calls in those games. And I hate when people say he's cost us all 5 of our games. No, he hasn't. That's so dumb. First of all, so you think the Browns would be undefeated if we had a different coach? No, we wouldn't. It's wild.
Yeah. So Fatal Gnome in the chat, another one of our big time Patreon supporters says anyone still out on Stefanski is not a true Browns fan. Criticism is fine, but we're 8-5. Get a grip. I agree. 12-5 train. Yep. There we go.
I just in Stefanski's defense real quick. And Blake talked about Aaron Rodgers going out of New York. I would say maybe more to Stefanski's credit than anything else we've seen this year is the buy-in and the resolve. Our team has more resolve than anything I've really seen in sports in a long time. That's coaching, guys. And credit Jim Schwartz as well. But that's coaching. If Joe Woods and Freddie Kitchens were coaching the Browns right now, we would have given up week 2 when Chubb went out. We would be, I don't know, we'd probably have 2 or 3 wins. So, I mean, give the coaches credit when they deserve it if you want to give them all the blame when something goes wrong.
Yeah, that's a great point. That is a very good point. And I mean, the last couple of weeks on the road, obviously, we went over on the last show the differences between the defensive numbers on the road this season and at home. It's an absolute night and day difference. And what has been bothering me so much is when the Browns were on the road and they're getting beat because our defense couldn't stop anything, they were saying Stefanski's a horrible coach. But then whenever the Browns come out and win, it's because Jim Schwartz is a great coach. So, yeah, it's a group effort. Obviously, Kevin's the head coach, but, I mean, it takes the entire staff, it takes all these guys buying in, supporting each other just to do whatever it freaking takes.
So I just was looking at the teams we beat this year in terms of just to kind of put it in perspective about how we're 8-5 up against these odds is truly kind of remarkable. Of our 8 wins, now I'm not sure how it's all going to shake out after today, but as it stands now, I'm pretty sure of our 8 wins, 7 of them are against current playoff teams in either the AFC or the NFC. I don't know if there's another team in football who's beat 7 playoff teams.
Yeah,
I would have to go through and check people's schedules. I don't know if there's another team in football who has beaten 7 playoff teams this year, 7 current playoff teams, and for 7 of their 8 wins to be against current playoff teams. The strength of our schedule is absolutely insane. And if they aren't a playoff team, they have been in they're in the hunt, we're in the playoffs. Then maybe they dropped out, but they've been in and out of that race all year. But I'm pretty sure 7 of our 8 wins are against teams that are currently in the playoffs. All 4 teams, because the Texans and the Colts lost, I believe all 4 AFC North teams are in the playoffs again currently, I
Yeah, I think
think.
that's what the graphic showed. The Bengals are sneaking
So
into that wild card.
so just it's remarkable for us to, you know what I mean? We went to the playoffs in 2020. Okay. And if anybody remembers that, the season didn't start off great. Okay. The offense was struggling. We didn't look that good. Baker didn't look that good. And then we hit the second half of our season, and I think we won 7 out of 10. But we got helped in large part because we played an absolutely awful schedule in terms of strength of schedule. We played bottom feeders.
And when we did play above 500 teams, we lost.
Yes, the 3 teams that we lost to in the second half of the season were the 500 teams, and we were the best of the bad teams, and we picked on them, and we won the games against bad teams, and we made the playoffs. Which I'm not going to apologize for winning and beating teams who are on our schedule, but it's different this year. We're not just picking off bottom feeders. We're going toe to toe with the best teams in football, and we're coming out on top, and we're doing it with second and third string running backs, fourth string quarterbacks, fifth string tackles. Like, you can't say enough about. I mean, it's literally hard to put into words. It's hard to fathom that we're 8-5 with the amount of injuries we've had.
Yep. And you look at some of the games we've lost, just to kind of backtrack. I mean, week 2, we lose Nick Chubb. We lost that game by 4 points. We had 2 costly, turnovers that turned into touchdowns immediately. Otherwise, that game might be a win. Then you look at like the Seattle game. I mean, a little bit better QB play in that game, and we get that game too. So this team is, I mean, they're not just 8-5. Like, they are just a few bad plays, bad situations away from being even better, which is just from where this team came from a few years ago, winning 1 game in 2 seasons. This is awesome. This is so good right now.
Yeah. So I'm trying to scroll through these comments, see if I see anything else. I will say this: the fact that Joe Flacco is throwing for 300 yards in this offense is very impressive to me, because we need wide receiver
Oh
help,
my
man.
gosh, I'm glad you said that because I wanted to bring that up on the show.
Like, Amari Cooper is very good. Okay. And I think Elijah Moore could be like a really good guy on your team, like a role player guy. But I don't know if he's like a guy, like a high level number 2 receiver like we thought he was going to be. We don't seem to have a ton of speed, and we don't seem to have like a ton of wiggle. When was the last time the Browns wide receiver like caught a pass, made a guy miss, and like just exploded for 80 yards? Like, we don't have anybody like that. Like, Amari's a great route runner, possession receiver, and he can hit a big play sometimes, but like, we don't have anybody who really scares you on the outside. You know
Mm-mm.
what I mean? Like, we need speed and wide receiver help bad. It's obviously not going to come this year, but I just want to put that in perspective. The fact that we're putting up 350, 400 yards of offense, and we're getting this kind of performance out of Joe Flacco at 38 years old with kind of the second rate wide receiver core that we have, like,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty impressive, and it speaks a lot to the scheme.
Yeah, Ian on YouTube here says David is the key going forward. Now he showed today what he can and should do. And David Njoku, I mean, 6 catches today, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns. Just an absolutely awesome game by the Chief. And, he's had a couple rough outings here in recent weeks where he's dropped a lot of passes and, just kind of stalled the offense a little bit. But when he's on his game, he's like one of the best. I don't want to say like overall tight ends in the league, but I mean with his blocking and everything that he provides, and then with his
think that's fair to
playmaking
say, though.
abilities, he's a stud. I mean that play where he stiff armed the guy for a first down was
Yes.
was so impressive because he got stopped about 3 yards short, shoved a hand in the guy's chest and said, "I'm taking you past the first down marker with me," and he just got the first
Yeah,
down. It was so cool.
that guy should have just voluntarily sat on the bench for the rest of the game. That was a fun play to watch as a Browns fan.
Sometimes it doesn't even look like he's running that hard or that fast, but he's running away from people or pushing them out of the way. Like, he's just such like a natural athlete, and I mean, he's huge.
He's
Like,
a bully,
he
dude.
just, yeah. Um, so how do you guys feel about the defense going forward? like if a guy like Delpit is out? Like what? I
Well, I
I'm,
guess we can
I'm worried, especially because on the road.
talk about Delpit real quick. I mean, might as well mention the news. He signed an extension today with the Browns. Just signed a 3-year, $36 million contract extension. I think they said it includes like $23 million in guarantees. And he went out today, and he actually, I mean, he played pretty good today. He had a sack, right? Didn't he have a sack?
He did.
I couldn't remember
Yeah.
if it was a sack or a QB hit, but yeah, okay. I mean, he looked really good, and then you're right, Blake went out with the injury. Did they say what it was?
I heard he got carted. Like
Oh,
they took him
geez.
to the sideline and they had to cart him to the locker room.
Well, it
Yeah.
looked like a head. Did it not look like a concussion situation
It-
where his head hit Miles'
and
knee?
not when I saw the replay.
What did you see?
I I definitely thought it was concussion protocol. And then I saw the replay and it didn't look like he really hit his head. Like maybe his head would have been like more secondary contact. I thought it was probably going to be more of, I couldn't tell. I
So
thought maybe like a neck or shoulder.
the chat's saying
Um,
groin. I guess
so
that news must have come out now. Okay.
yeah, I didn't hear about it, and I didn't hear anything from a sideline reporter or anything. But yeah, I mean that sucks. So yeah, Blake, dude, I didn't think Hickman or Bell looked like liabilities per se. And obviously I don't want to see Delpit out,
Well,
but
not having
without
Delpit, not having Thornhill, not having McLeod, like, damn, there's all our safeties. You know what I mean? That sucks.
Well, and Delpit went out and they went right down the field and scored. Like as soon as he went out, they passed like 4 times, went right down the field and scored. So it's getting to the point like how much can we overcome? It's
was that the
baffling that
same
we
drive that we had the pass interference call?
no that was way earlier in the game. The pass interference call at the end was such a joke for
Yeah.
them. They didn't call pass interference on us when we stopped them on 4th down, and it was a bang bang play. Then they didn't call the pass interference for us when we tried to throw for the 1st down on Elijah Moore, and I was okay with them not calling it because it was bang bang, and we had just gotten away with a bang bang one on the other side. But they've been letting them play all day. And then you bail him out. He throws into triple coverage, and Anthony Walker might have lightly brushed him with his pinky finger or something, and that's what they called it. It was so obvious, like the spread was 3.5. A bunch of people must have taken the Browns on the spread or something, and Vegas called in and said, hey, we need this to end in a 3-point game, which then Doug Peterson really screwed it when he went for 2 instead of kicking the extra point.
Yep.
Yep.
So Doug Peterson must have had the Browns 3.5. So but that was such a bad call. That was terrible. To be letting them play all day, then you call that in crunch time. Is officiating in the NFL has gotten to a point where it's even owners and coaches are starting to question, why is it so bad in our league? Why are we this giant conglomerate, this global game worth billions and billions of dollars, and this is what we have on the field officiating our games? Like it's unacceptable.
Yeah.
But I hate to do this. I guess you guys can keep going if you want. But the Browns played the longest game in NFL history today. So we like to do these for an hour, but I have to get ready and go show somebody a house, and my computer's about to die. So
Quick question, Blake.
go ahead.
Do you need a new computer?
I do need a new computer, but that's not why it's dying. It's dying because I didn't know it was close to dying. I don't have my charger close by, and I have to be somewhere in a half hour.
I said
Rough.
before we could wrap it up real quick. I know you got to roll, but why don't we just mention Martin Emerson real quick? Because
Yes,
I don't even know if we've said his name yet. And holy crap, dude, have yourself a ball game. You know what I mean? Just he is making a push for a Pro Bowl, bid this season, and he deserves it. What a find by Andrew Berry last year in the 3rd round.
Give him the game ball.
It's picks like him and JOK, like
DeJuan
that.
Jones.
When people say we gave up the future to get Deshaun, really? No, we filled this roster with 2nd and 3rd round draft picks, and they're all hits. Well, most of them.
Right.
Emerson is a dog. News, like all these people, and JOK is playing out of his mind this year. So first round draft picks, it's a crapshoot. Half of them are busts all the time anyway. So that's why that argument carries no weight with me. And also, Dustin Hopkins comes through in the clutch again.
Yeah.
That field goal was huge. A guy that we were worried when we signed him, like that his longer field goal percentage had plummeted in recent years, and like we were concerned about that. He's money this year from 50 plus. So and he's been worth every single penny since the trade.
Yep.
100% agree with that.
All right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up before I just get abruptly cut off. I appreciate everybody sticking by through my technical issues at the beginning when I was just freezing and my camera kept turning off. The fact that you guys stuck around, it really meant a lot to me. I appreciate it. We appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us right after the game. I know a lot of you guys are probably either wasted or tired because it was such a long game. But it was awesome to get a huge win for the Browns. Currently hold the #1 wild card spot in the AFC playoffs. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season we were going to be missing Chubb and Watson and Conklin and Jed and all these guys, and we'd be 8-5, I would have laughed you out of the building. So it's been awesome. It's been an awesome season for the Browns, watching them overcome adversity week after week after week. It's been awesome watching these games with you guys, coming on, doing these lives with you guys. We appreciate you guys being here. This is going to be our episode for the week because Josh is on vacation. So probably won't have a preview episode this week unless Josh was going to do something from his vacation.
We'll play it by ear.
Yeah. So if you don't hear from us this week, it's because Josh is on vacation. But if we get something figured out, we will see you before then. But if not, we'll see you guys hopefully Victory Monday next week after a matchup with the Bears. Stop Justin Fields and hopefully win that game. So once again, we appreciate you guys being here. Have a good night and go Browns.